Pleased to say I am joined now by the former Labour Minister, Jeff Hoon. Jeff, I hope you're having a wonderful Christmas period. Look, when it comes to Keir Starmer here, he's absolutely tanking in the polls. I mean, frankly, it's early days, but he cannot carry on like this, can he?
I read an interesting article in one of this morning's newspapers which said because we've had three Conservative prime ministers in almost as many years, the reality is many people are seeing the prime minister's job as being a bit like a football manager's. Few bad results and you're out the window. It's less than 6 months since Keir Starmer and the Labour Party achieved one of the largest majorities in political history, and things will calm down into the new year. We're all going off for a holiday break, and the reality
well, can I just say, just on that, Jeff, I don't think he should be taking a holiday, should he? Because freezing pensioners won't get a holiday, farmers won't be getting a holiday, they're both getting clobbered. There's all of this stuff that he's done so far. The approval ratings are tanking, and he's spent 150 odd hours in the air. I mean, that's on top of the 50 million quid he's given to the Syrians, again, over the weekend. This isn't a Prime Minister of Britain, is he? He spends more time in the air than he does talking to the British public.
From my understanding, most of those meetings, they were all in any Prime Minister's diary. They were scheduled for Rishi Sunak, had he chosen to carry on rather than call what proved to him a disastrous general election in July. So let's be clear. Labour, Keir Starmer, won a landslide general election. It's less than 6 months into a parliament that can last another 4.5 years. And the reality is we all have to calm down, allow the government to take decisions to move ahead, rather like the decision today on local government. Governments have been talking for 50 years about the kind of reforms that were announced this morning. Absolutely remarkable transformation.
It's interesting that you mentioned the word reform in amongst the local elections being suspended, in some cases for a couple of years, Jeff, because the cynic in me would say that this was going to be a referendum on Keir Starmer's premiership so far, a premiership that, frankly, many people would regard as having made a lot of people's lives a lot worse, and he was going to get a kicking from reform in places like Lancashire, in places like Essex, and in places like Suffolk, which are all places where the local elections will now not be going ahead, in some cases for 2 years. I mean, some people are calling him a dictator because of this.
Well, again, let's be clear. Successive governments, and Conservative governments in particular, have talked about reforming local government, and they've failed to do it. The reality is, I'm in Derbyshire at the moment. We have 9 different local authorities for around 800,000 people. That cannot make sense. Everyone says it doesn't make sense. In fact, political experts can't tell you the difference between what a district council does and what a county council does. And the reality is, this is a major, significant reform that must go ahead on both financial but common sense.
But why can't we just still have the elections, though? Why can't you just do both? I mean, it's a socialist thing to say we can do both. They always say it. That's when when people like me say, well, why are we paying for this as well as paying for that? And they go, oh, well, surely we can just do both. They want everyone to dig deeper. Well, why can't we just have more elections then? Why have we had to cancel it?
Because it doesn't make sense to hold local government elections for district councils.
Yes, it does. In the 2 years intervening, sorry, Jeff, but in Windsor and Maidenhead, they want to put council tax up 25%. If I lived in an area where my local council, my district council, was talking about not taking my bins out apart from once a month, they couldn't fix the potholes, but they wanted to rack up 25% worth of council tax, I'd be inclined to want to vote on that. I wouldn't want to wait until 2027 because Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner want to do something funky with the council.
Well, there will still be the opportunity of voting in local elections. There will no longer be a necessity to vote in both district council elections and county council elections. You're a political expert. Do you know the difference between the functions of those two institutions? As I say, in my county where I live, there are 9 local authorities that taxpayers in this county are paying for. It simply doesn't make sense.
Just lastly on that, I mean, there was a joke in the run-up to the election, wasn't there, that Keir Starmer, if you vote for Keir Starmer, Shamima Begum will be back in Britain before you know it. And actually now it looks like it's going to happen, doesn't it? I mean, the guy's a walking meme, isn't he, Jeff?
No, I don't agree with that at all. I mean, the reality is that we have to calm down as far as government is concerned. Government is not like managing a football team where a few bad results mean that you're out the door and another manager is appointed.